We've always been a nation of explorers and thrill seekers and knowledge knowers. We're curious and we seek entertainment. Our wide open American highways make it easy to get out and travel. And even though we have so much in-home entertainment and distractions, domestic travel numbers are higher than we've seen in a long time. 80% of all domestic destinations were for leisure, and about a quarter of all American vacations are road trips. Summer's coming soon, so it's time to start planning those vacays. In this video, we're going to talk about the most popular tourist attractions in every single state. Some of them you'll be like, I've heard of that place, and some of them you'll be like, I've never heard of that place. What a great place. Maybe I should go. Either way, you're going to learn a lot and have some fun along the way. So let's get out our map and get ready to go on a destination, folks. Yes, some people still use these. Get out and travel, 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 get out and travel. We begin our tour of the nation's most popular tourist destinations here in Alabama. This is Huntsville, a remarkably fine town that I had the pleasure of visiting this past fall. Huntsville's home to lots of smart rocket scientists and military personnel. Here, you'll find the U.S. Space and Rocket Center. It's a museum that has old rockets that went to the moon and other space artifacts. You can even feel what it's like to be weightless. It's $30 for an adult. Anyways, almost 1 million people a year come and see it. I did not. The most visited tourist spot in Alaska is Denali National Park. 500,000 people come here every year to see the mountains and all the animals. Denali is the highest peak in the United States. It's 6,194 meters high. JK, you don't know what a meter is. It's dangerous here. There's bears and wolves all over the place. It's $15 for a week pass, but you could spend a month in here and never see all of it. That's $15 per person, not per car, so if you want to hide people in the back seat, then they're free. The most popular tourist spot in Arizona is this little lady's turquoise store in Flagstaff. No, it's Grand Canyon. More than 6 million people come here every year. It's the 22nd most visited destination in the country. You can walk out on a glass skywalk and look over the edge, or just look over the edge. A lot of people hike down and camp at the bottom, and there's kayaking and canoeing down there too. Some people spend a lot of money and do a helicopter tour. Good for them. This marvel's bigger than the state of Rhode Island, everyone. There's not a lot of excitement in Arkansas these days, but there's a lot of outdoorsy stuff to do. The thing that draws the most people in is Hot Springs National Park. It's on the west side of the state. Arkansas actually has a lot of mountains and forests. I bet you didn't know that. Actually, most of Arkansas is forests and soybean fields. 1.5 million people come here every year to ooh and ah. Most of them come in the fall. And unlike most places on this list, it's free. Apparently there's only 2 actual springs that you can see here. It's really pretty though. They don't call it the natural state for nothing, people. The most popular draw in California are San Francisco's sidewalks. No, but it's close. It's actually Golden Gate Park. It's more than 1,000 acres of gardens and cool buildings, activities, and people sleeping on benches. It too is free. More than 24 million people visit it each year. That's 4 times more than Grand Canyon. Huh, who knew? You might have thought the most popular place here was Disneyland, but it's not. Only 18 million people go to Disneyland every year, and it's well past its prime, especially after all the ticket prices going up and all the lines.
Actually, Disneyland's attendance has remained steady for the past 5 years.
Why do you have to correct everything all the time? Little smarty pants. Rocky Mountain National Park. 4 million people come here every year. Many come to see Pike's Peak, the biggest mountain outside of Alaska. 4 million people's a lot though. It gives me faith that there's actually people getting outside and seeing how pretty our country is. You can drive on Trail Ridge Road. It's the highest paved highway in the nation. It crests more than 12,000 feet up. $25 gets everyone in the car in for a whole day. Mystic Seaport Museum. What's that? Apparently this is a big recreated village of what it used to look like when America was barely a thing. There's some cool old buildings and hundreds of old boats have been restored. You can walk around the village and shop and dine. It looks neat. 300,000 people a year come and see it. They say Mystic's the prettiest town in Connecticut. Maybe I should go there and see if it's true or not. Delaware isn't very stimulating, but a lot of people flock to the Rehoboth Beach Boardwalk every year. 3.5 million of them, to be exact. It's a boardwalk. You know what those are. One website I've never heard of called this the 6th best boardwalk in the nation, people. And 7 out of 8 people seem to agree. Rehoboth is a pretty cool, chill beachside town that gets way too overcrowded in the summer. Of course, Disney World's the most visited tourist attraction in Florida. Come on now. It's like the most visited theme park in the world. Technically, the Magic Kingdom is the top destination here, but people come for all the other theme parks too. There's a lot to do at the Magic Kingdom. One website ranked every single attraction here. The worst attraction here is the Swiss Family Treehouse. They say it's basically a giant line with tons of stairs. Okay. The best attraction here is supposedly Splash Mountain. What? I always liked the Jungle Cruise. Admission here is like $10,000. 2.5 million people come to the Georgia Aquarium, which is located in downtown Atlanta. This is actually the largest aquarium in the Western Hemisphere. It's an aquarium, so there's dolphin shows and viewing rooms, and you can pick things up. Apparently they have albino alligators there too.
Did you know the Georgia Aquarium mascot is a fish named Depot?
Depot? Why do they call it that?
Because Home Depot gave them a bunch of money.
I don't know how I feel about that. Depot? Stupid. This one's so America. The USS Arizona Memorial in Pearl Harbor sees more than 1 million visitors each and every year. You take a boat 15 minutes from shore, and then you walk around on a platform for 15 minutes and look down on a ship that was sunk and now rests at the bottom of the Pacific. It's free, but there's only 13,000 tickets given out each day. Only about 2,700 people go each day on average, so there's probably plenty of room if you decide to go. Idaho doesn't have a theme park, and it doesn't have a boardwalk, but it does have Craters of the Moon National Monument and Preserve. It looks like you're walking around on the moon out there. The whole area is more than 1,000 square miles. It was created by volcanoes around the time Jesus was around. 250,000 people come and see it every year. Cool. Every year, 25 million people come to Millennium Park in Chicago. That makes it just about the most visited attraction in the country. It's actually not even that cool. There's a park and a sculpture that people say looks like a bean. There's some gardens and artwork too. It's free. I've been there. It's really crowded in the summer, especially when there's a concert going on. Yes, Indiana has sand dunes. And yes, Indiana has beaches. You can see both of them in one place at the Indiana Dunes National Park. It's a 15-mile stretch of really pretty sand dunes along the shores of Lake Michigan. Some people bring their off-road vehicles here while others ride horses around. 2 million people come for a visit annually, and it's free, so that's cool. You can even see downtown Chicago from here too, but you can't see Millennium Park. You'd think the Indianapolis Motor Speedway would be the top destination. I mean, 350,000 people come here in one day.
I'd love to hear more about those hot NASCAR drivers.
What do you want to hear? They're all married. They're not interested in dating a map. Come on now, Karen.
If you build it, you will come.
Ah, the Field of Dreams. This place wasn't built by a farmer like in the movie. It was built by Universal Pictures for the movie in 1988. The baseball field was the setting for the memorable movie, and it was built on land that overlapped 2 different farms. Today, admission's free, and you're even allowed to walk around on the field and everything. 115,000 people a year do just that. The Sedgwick County Zoo. 600,000 visitors come to Kansas's most visited attraction. There's 3,000 animals here, and they're talking about making the place even bigger. Now, there's a long-standing debate. How do you know if a zoo is a good zoo or a bad zoo? Good zoos have to follow certain humane guidelines. Apparently, you have to check a zoo's AZA accreditation. If they're on the list, then they're a good zoo. The Sedgwick County Zoo is on there, right there. So I guess you can come see it guilt-free. Like nearby Arkansas, Kentucky has a lot of areas of natural beauty. Its most famous attraction is its Cumberland Falls State Park. They call this place the Niagara of the South because of the 60-foot-high waterfall that makes a moonbow at night when the situation presents itself. A moonbow, everyone! They say this is the only place in the Western Hemisphere when you can see a real-life moonbow. I think there's probably other places. There's no more famous place in Louisiana than Bourbon Street. I've been there a few times. It's dirty and there's weirdos everywhere, but it's pleasant enough and it can be kind of romantic. Plus, you can get drunk for $5. They say 95% of people who come to New Orleans visit Bourbon Street. Each year, this street welcomes 20 million visitors, and I'd estimate 1 million of them get robbed every year. But go down there during a Saints game and you might get a free shot if they win. I did. Acadia National Park is fairly old. It opened up more than 100 years ago, but it's still drawing in more than 3 million people a year. Folks come to walk up the highest mountain in the eastern seaboard, where they can be the first people to see the sunrise each morning. It's $30 per car. Seems to be worth it. Looks really neat. Another aquarium. This one's in Baltimore. It's called the National Aquarium. 1.3 million people come and see 750 animals every year here. Who doesn't like looking at cool animals? Way back in 1742, Boston built a market hall and public meeting place where colonists could gather and bitch and moan about the British. They preserved this place, and today, 18 million people come here to dine and shop and take in all the history. Some are people who just work in the area, and some are tourists. More people come to the Henry Ford Museum every year than any other place in the state of Michigan. 2 million people annually, to be exact. Inside its 12 acres are antique cars and machinery that shaped our past. You can see the Rosa Parks bus, the car JFK was in when he got assassinated. Okay, that's weird. You can even take a ride in an old Model T, but I don't think they'd let you drive it. It's $27 for most people to get into this museum. You might expect that the Mall of America would be the most popular place for visitors in Minnesota. Is a mall a tourist destination? 40 million people visit it each year, making it the fourth most popular attraction in the country every year. Damn! There's 500 stores here and an indoor amusement park, mini golf, movie theaters, and an aquarium. Of course, it's free to go to the mall. You know what a mall is, right? What people used to go to before Amazon? Vicksburg was one of the greatest battles of the Civil War. In 1863, a regiment of Union soldiers led by Ulysses S. Grant fought off Confederate soldiers to take control of the Mississippi River. 20,000 people died here over the course of the 47-day siege. Today, there's a memorial that draws in over 500,000 people every year. You can walk around or you can take a tour. A lot of the trenches are still in place. I wonder if people find bullets laying around. The Gateway Arch, the gateway to the West. Every year, close to 2 million people come pay homage to the tallest monument in the nation. Some even pay between $15 and $19 to ride to the top. It was built in 1965, and apparently it was really hard to get the last piece in at the top. Like, seriously, it came down to 1/64 of an inch. Nobody died erecting it, but somebody tried to base jump from the top in 1980 and his chute didn't open. That sucks. You might imagine a big old mountainy, waterfall-y, animal-y place would be the most popular destination in the state of Montana. And it is. Check out Glacier National Park. It would be hard to find a prettier place than this. 3 million people pass through the gates to hike, kayak, bike, swim, raft, and look at really big animals. I went there once, and I really wanted to see a moose, but left mooseless. I had a great time later that day in Canada, though. Good people up there. The state of Nebraska is filled with great, honest, hard-working folks. There's a few little national parks here, but the most popular place is the Omaha Zoo. Some say it's in the top 10 for all U.S. zoos. It has the largest geodesic dome in the world, the largest indoor desert in the world, the largest nocturnal exhibit in the world, the largest indoor swamp in the world, and the second largest aviary in the whole world. Go see it. It is also accredited by the AZA, and that means a lot, people. The Las Vegas Strip is clearly the most visited destination in Nevada. It's the second most visited destination in the world, actually. 42 million people come here every year from all over the planet to look at the lights, see all the awesome shows, eat and drink way too much, and probably lose a lot of money. The Strip isn't as luxurious as it once was, and the surrounding area is, frankly, a dump. Sorry, it's true. I was just there. There's not an official count on the #1 tourist hotspot in New Hampshire, but most everyone agrees it's either Mount Washington or the Kankamangas Highway. Mount Washington's the highest peak in the Northeast, where it gets 100 below zero with 800-mile-an-hour winds. Kankamangas Highway, or the Kank, is a 56-mile stretch of road where people come to leaf peep every fall. People.
We are flying over a well-known eastern city that is remarkable because manufacturing is almost non-existent. A city whose principal business is the entertainment of millions. Atlantic City, often called the vacation capital of the nation.
Atlantic City used to be a cool thing a long time ago. It's still a thing, but it's just less upscale and bougie as it once was. There's a lot of crime and poverty all over the area. But still, the main drag with all the casinos and the boardwalk are still a major draw, to the tune of 27 million visitors a year. It's actually the 6th most visited place in the nation. Here's a fun fact. The original Atlantic City Boardwalk was the first of its kind in the nation, and it was actually removed at the end of each summer. That is until 1880, when the boardwalk became permanent. New Mexico might be a poor and dangerous place, but it's one of our prettiest states. White Sands National Park gets 600,000 people every year. Here, within 225 square miles, are sand dunes made of gypsum. Not sand, everyone. Gypsum. It's cool to the touch, too, so you can walk on these dunes even on the hottest New Mexico day. There's no other place like it in the world. It's $25 a carload to get in here. New York has many of the world's most popular tourist spots. Niagara Falls gets 8 million people a year. Central Park sees 40 million visitors a year. Some estimates say Times Square gets close to 100 million visitors a year, but there's no way to know. It's clearly the most visited place in the state, though. North Carolina. Hey, that's where I live. The famous Biltmore Estate in the North Carolina mountains is the most visited attraction here. It's a giant 250-room mansion that sits on an 8,000-acre estate. It was built by George Vanderbilt, the railroad tycoon, in 1895. 1.4 million people come here every year. It's really popular all year, and at Christmas, the place looks really cool too. The Biltmore Winery is also the most visited winery in the country. Tickets start at like $70. I've never done it. I don't know if it's haunted, but I hope it is. A lot of people pull off the highway to take pictures of North Dakota's giant buffalo statue called Dakota Thunder. But way more people visit this state's Theodore Roosevelt National Park. Every year, 600,000 people visit, which is almost this whole state's population. There's a lot to do within this park's 70,000 acres. Hiking, horseback riding, skiing. The park also includes part of the Badlands. Ohio has quite a few theme parks, but more people visit Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio than anywhere else. It's well known as being the largest amusement park on Earth. It claims to have the biggest assortment of rides than anywhere else on the planet, and it claims to be the second oldest operating theme park in the nation. They also call themselves the roller coaster capital of the world. At last count, there were 18 world-class coasters here, so I guess they can brag about it. Anyways, 3.6 million people come to the banks of Lake Erie to experience this place every single year. Route 66 gets a lot of visitors, but you can't really count those. The sort of official leading tourist trap in Oklahoma is the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum in Oklahoma City. For a mere $12.50, you can look at a bunch of old cowboy hats and cowboy boots and buckles and spurs from long ago. There's also a lot of Native American history here and tons of paintings and other Western art. Sound boring? It's only $12.50. It's worth a gander. About an hour drive east of Portland is the Columbia River Gorge. Every year, 2 million people come to look at this natural beauty. The most popular spot along the gorge is Multnomah Falls, where you can look at a waterfall that's more than 600 feet high. It's free. It's said the true birthplace of America is in Philadelphia. I mean, that's where we signed the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution, the latter of which doesn't really seem to mean anything anymore. Here in Philadelphia is Independence National Historic Park. It's a bunch of old buildings and statues and monuments dedicated to preserving the memory of our inspirational past. You should come see it, because one day some woke people are going to complain and they're going to take all the statues down. Newport, Rhode Island's a really neat place. I think you should see it sometime. All over Newport are these huge historic mansions that have been turned into museums. Collectively, these mansions draw in more than 1 million people every year. I guess people just like to see how the mega wealthy lived back in the 1800s. 13 million people jam into Ripley's Aquarium in Myrtle Beach every year to look at stuff that you'd find in an aquarium. There are 3 Ripley's aquariums in North America, and I couldn't determine what makes this one different from the other 2, except the one in South Carolina appears to be the cheapest to attend. Mount Rushmore. Up on that hillside are some of the finest leaders this nation's ever seen. More than 2 million people flock here to take a quick peek and a selfie before they look around and realize there's literally nothing else to do for 5 hours in every direction. And most people who go there usually comment that it's not as big as they thought it would be. But it's only $10 a car, so you really have no room to complain. The biggest crowds are in the summer because it's not freezing cold then. Now, Tennessee has a surprising number of tourist destinations. There's Graceland and the Grand Ole Opry and Dollywood. However, more people visit this state's Great Smoky Mountains National Park than any other national park in the country. 12 million people a year drive through some of this country's most fetching mountain roads. Yes, I said fetching. San Antonio is kind of overshadowed by Dallas and Houston and Austin, but those cities don't have an Alamo or a Riverwalk. The Alamo draws about 3 million people a year, but it's the city's Riverwalk that gets most attention. 10 million people come here every year to shop and dine along the banks of the river. The most popular part where all the people go is more than 2 miles long. Okay, this one's close. Temple Square in Salt Lake City is just about tied with Zion National Park for a number of annual visitors. Each gets about 3.5 million guests each year. One is a giant Mormon temple, and the other is much, much more awe-inspiring. Vermont doesn't have any true national parks. There aren't any amusement parks here or any giant sprawling tourist traps. No, Vermont has Ben & Jerry's ice cream factory, which sadly is the only place in the state where more than 400,000 people visit every year. What's that say about Americans? There might not be a state with more history than Virginia. Williamsburg's a neat little city. Here you'll find Colonial Williamsburg, which attracts 2 million people every year. You can explore the historic area on foot for free, but if you want to go inside some of the historic homes and museums, you have to pay. Get this, 30,000 people a day flock down to the Pike Place Market in downtown Seattle. Here you can watch the local vendors prepare fish, which is always a sight to see. The market center also has a lot of shops, bars, restaurants, boutiques, and bums. Every year, more than 250,000 people flock to West Virginia's beautiful Harpers Ferry National Historic Park. There were a lot of important moments in our nation's history here, including a major surrender during the Civil War. Today, there's a bunch of historic landmarks and buildings and monuments along with shopping and dining. It's right at the confluence of 2 major rivers, and it's a neat place to stop if you're in the area. The fee is only $20 per car. The Wisconsin Dells, or simply the Dells, draws more visitors than any other destination in the state of Wisconsin. The area has the highest concentration of water parks in the whole world. There's more than 200 water slides here, which is plenty to accommodate the 4 million annual sliders. And don't worry, there's an indoor water park too, so you can visit in the winter. But this place is more than just water slides, people. There's all sorts of fun, museums and golf and roller coasters and more. And no, Wisconsin Dells did not pay me to say this. I wish they did. Wyoming, always our last state when we do these. Sorry, Wyoming. Yellowstone's one of the most famous national parks in the world. You knew that. 4 million people come here every year. It's very prehistoric. You know about Old Faithful and the other 500 active geysers here. In fact, Yellowstone has half of the world's active geysers. That's neat. Yellowstone also has 300 waterfalls, 1,000 miles of hiking, big scary animals, water rafting, and lots of campgrounds. It's 3,400 square miles, making it bigger than Delaware and Rhode Island combined. It truly is one of our finest gems. Yellowstone National Park, everyone. Okay, that was a look at the most popular tourist destinations in every single state. Hopefully you learned something. I know I did. Now get out there and see America. It's the prettiest, best country on the planet. But you wouldn't know that if you're sitting around on the couch staring at your phones all day. Unless you're watching my videos on YouTube, then you have my permission to stare at your phones all day. Get out and travel, 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 get out and travel. America is big. Go see it today. Tourist spots are fun. They are really packed. America's great. Go see it, everyone. These were the most popular tourist destinations in America. By Nick Johnson. Are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting. That's right. I'll sit down and talk about where the next perfect place for you and your family should be. I do it all the time. Together, let's find you a new home that's safe and checks all your boxes. You can get my email in the description to find out how I can help you find your perfect relocation. And I can also help you find your new house too. Email me and I'll work with you I'm not just helping you figure out where to move, but I can help you find your perfect home too. That's right, someone's a realtor now. Who wants to deal with a realtor they don't know when you can have me help you, right? Hey guys, if you learned something new about America or what it's like to live in America, great. You should think about subscribing and turning on your notifications. You can also click one of these videos or playlists for more. You can also now buy my songs on iTunes and other formats. Click the link in the description. Thanks for watching. And remember, while we all might have different views, we should all be nice to each other and try to make the U.S. a better place in a positive way.
This is Sage, Nick's manager. This has been a Corner House Entertainment production.